Cara Crabb-Burnham joining us again this week. She's the founder of CCB Consulting, dealing with companies that are looking to open a cannabis location, as well as providing education about all the different types of products and just the space in general in Massachusetts and the Northeast more broadly. Cara, thanks for coming on again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Glad to be back.
So we've talked about a few different subjects when it comes to this industry in Massachusetts in particular, but I think Northeast, it's clearly, over the last few years, evolved substantially. We haven't talked a lot about the nitty-gritty details when it comes to operating these types of places. And so I wanted to start there with the Cannabis Control Commission. For anyone unfamiliar, just what is this commission? What was it set up to do?
So when legislatively we passed legalizing cannabis in Massachusetts, a 5-person commission would be formed to develop the regulations for how the industry would be run.
Okay.
So we have 5 people in charge of all of the CCC staff and then all of the regulatory changes, updates, and sort of movement to get it all completed.
And I'm guessing you don't want to sit here and, knock on a group of individuals, but what are they elected officials? Are they?
No, they're
okay.
they're appointed.
Okay, appointed individuals who run this Cannabis Control Commission. And so what does this commission do? It creates regulations for the industry. It approves new operators.
Yeah, so the commission reviews all of the applications and they look at the regulations and the expectations of the industry in a sort of forward position. The Cannabis Control Commission staff, that's led by Sean Collins, they manage all of the inspections, the review of applications, the incidents where fines may be necessary. They do more of the active management and then recommend suggestions to the CCC commissioners as necessary to move various licenses into the proper position.
So can you compare this to any other? I mean, presumably there's a similar type of board for alcohol sales in Massachusetts, or perhaps not. I don't know. But I mean, what does this realistically involve on the ground for store owners who are trying to comply with Massachusetts law?
Well, for store owners, honestly, probably the easiest and least expensive license type to get up and running, definitely one of the more expensive license types to keep operating. They have to deal with the 280E, that's the Al Capone tax. So they can't write anything off, whereas manufacturing businesses and cultivation facilities, they have more write-offs available, so their operation costs a lot less. And they have to deal with the public, which sucks generally. It can be fun. It can be fun, but it's a retail job. I mean, it's a retail job like any other retail job, except you're on camera 24 hours a day, and you have to do a lot of training to people because culturally, we've never talked about cannabis the way we talk about hops or the way we talk about vineyards.
Sure.
So a lot of the time for a retail associate, is spent explaining products, explaining ailments and how medical cannabis works. So it's a really difficult job. When I say it sucks, I mean it's like an actually very difficult job, and there's always opportunity for training in that space.
Again, we're speaking with Cara Crabb-Burnham. She's the founder of CCB Consulting. Cara, I know that news, I think, broke, was it today or yesterday, of some sort of leak or data issue at the commission? What seems to be going on here?
I want to start this conversation by saying the CCC does have a lot on their plate.
Okay.
Like overall, they have a ton on their plate, and stuff falls through the cracks when you have a lot on your plate. Somebody had requested a FOIA, and
what's a FOIA?
A Freedom of Information request.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Access. So they requested information from the CCC, and when it was sent back to them, it included information that they were not supposed to have access to. It included personal data from several registered agents throughout the state of Massachusetts. I don't know how
personal
many.
Information,
personal information, home
phone
addresses, phone numbers.
That's good.
Where they've worked, what facilities they've worked at, and why they left. So
great.
Yeah.
Great. Just what you like to see in a government agency.
Yeah, there's a lot on their plate. There's too much to do.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, we seem to have
okay.
come very hard down on a very heavily legislated and heavily regulated industry, and that does create a lot of paperwork and things to do.
It does, and it sets up a whole bunch of people to do jobs that they really don't have a lot of experience in managing. You know, it's like you have to read all of these regulations, understand them. Now you have to go into all these facilities and make sure people are following all of these rules. And the rules are actually written by people who've never worked in cannabis. So a lot of the rules don't make a ton of sense.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so which is why I'm really excited that they are opening up regulatory rewrite right now. So if you have suggestions on what the CCC should do, or what the regulations should look like, or how they should read, how they should be updated, now is the time to email the commission, send in that suggestion, and hopefully we get some progress in the next 9 months.
Cara, in Massachusetts in particular, but I assume that this is pretty similar across most states in the Northeast, you can have a medical-only type facility, you can have a recreational retail facility, you have to grow your cannabis in the state in which you are growing, so presumably you have to have a license for that. How are all of these different license types set up? Are there operators that have all of them? Are there some that just say, no, we strictly do medical and nothing else? And how difficult it is to get one versus the other?
When regulations opened for medical cannabis in like 2014, when things started to get running, the DPH had determined that a medical facility had to grow, process, and retail all of their own products.
Okay.
So those are called vertically integrated facilities, or RMDs. Which it's not the right acronym, but we can say RMD, and that we know that it's going to be vertical. So when adult use came through, they separated all of those license types. So with recreational, you can have adult use retail, adult use manufacturing, adult use cultivation. However, once the product is once the product is ready for sale, it can be sold in any of the markets. Like a medical vertical can purchase product from an adult use manufacturing facility and sell it to medical patients.
So long as they test it in-house.
The testing is the same across the board.
Okay.
for the adult use market and the medical market.
Okay. Is one license much more difficult to get than another?
Oh, it's much more difficult to go ahead and build out a full vertical facility than it would be to open a retail store or a manufacturing or a lab. Yeah, no.
We talked about scale at some point from a business opportunity standpoint. I was curious about scale, since it's tough to get scale if you can't obviously transport product from one state to another. That would be kind of crazy in any other industry. But there are companies that I believe operate in lots of different states, including here in Massachusetts. How many are there that really are attempting to achieve scale out there right now, and how big are they, as far as you know?
I don't dare say how big they are because there's the number that the company puts out for shareholders.
It's obviously not like they're publicly traded companies. So
in Canada they are.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are some American companies that are trading in the Canadian markets, so it's happening.
Okay.
Of the top 10 biggest MSOs in the country, multi-state operators, MSO, the top 5 all operate here in Massachusetts.
Interesting.
Yeah. So and they don't go by their MSO name. So you might not know you're purchasing from, a conglomerate in Massachusetts.
Yeah, you try and make it, I'm a small craft type company is what they're going for. I got it.
You gotta know who you're shopping from sometimes.
Cara, we talked about this last time, but places for people to go and learn about, well-researched information on the cannabis industry, or perhaps cannabis itself. You mentioned the National Center for Biotech and Research, was it? Yes.
This is it's a curated list of studies, medical patients and doctors by the Patients Out of Time nonprofit organization. That is where you will find lots of good medical research, verified data, So that is where you can find that stuff.
Excellent. Cara, appreciate it again. This is Cara Crabb-Burnham. She's from and the founder of CCB Consulting, a Massachusetts-based firm that focuses on cannabis location, deal-making, and education around the cannabis industry as a whole. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
You can find me at www.ccbconsultingllc.com.
ccbconsultingllc.com. Cara Crabb-Burnham.